G'day, you beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. Take 2 of recording this video because I did not record the background footage because I'm an idiot. So we're going on to the world's worst website to talk today about items. Some really strong items, some of which you've probably already heard about from other people, some I don't think people are talking enough about. So let's just jump straight in. We'll talk at the end of the video about what I've got coming up next as far as videos go. Starting off with attack, with probably one of the strongest cards in the game, which everyone is talking about, is the Eclipse. 5500 costs give you 110 attack damage, and its passive allows 75% of your basic attack damage. It calls it True Strike there, but it's true damage. So that means that 3/4 of your basic attack negates all basic armor. Which is super strong against tanks. Keep in mind that this item's gonna lose a lot of its value if you are playing against, say if you're playing against a team that had 3 carries and 2 mages and none of them were building any armor, so they had really low armor, you're gonna get a lot less out of this, whereas if you're playing with against a team that has sort of 3 tanks, you're gonna get a lot out of this. Another card that I really like in the lifesteal game is Devil's Mutation. I do use Crimson Mask from time to time. It can be a bit hit or miss because of the low activatable time. Alien Exosuit can be really good as well, but I think Devil's Mutation is probably the best bet. 30% 30 attack damage, 20% attack speed, and 17% lifesteal. It has a passive called Ruthless, which each basic attack deals additional true damage equal to 3.5% of the target's current health. So if their current health is 100, you deal an extra 3.5 damage straight to their health bar. And its activatable grants you 15% increased movement speed and 55% increased attack speed for 8 seconds with a 30-second cooldown. It's a really good card, and it helps carries out a lot. One that I see people talking about a lot is Rift Claymore. I don't actually think it's very good, especially for ranged characters. So if you're in a ranged character and someone suggests this, I'd probably steer clear of it. It gives you attack damage and attack speed. So if you're a melee character, it's actually quite good. It gives we'll read it the way that I want to read it. Give basic attacks of melee heroes a 25% chance of stunning the target for 1 second and deals 40 damage. That's quite good. But if you then read it for the ranged, or ragged as they call it here, gives basic attacks of ranged heroes a 10% chance of stunning the target for half a second. The half a second stun is super awesome, but it's a 10% chance, which is relatively shit. So I don't think it's really worth it whatsoever. But like I said, on a melee character, it can be quite good. For the ranged, like an archer, if you were thinking about this, I would actually recommend going for something like Admiral's Pride. It has no passive or active, but it gives you 60 attack damage, 35% attack speed, and 35% dodge, which means that you have a 35% chance that a basic attack coming to hit you is going to miss, which is really good. Just quickly thinking about whether there's something that deserves an honorable mention here, probably a lot. I like Stormcaller, I like Plasma Blaster, but moving on to defense. One of the most OP cards in the game is Medusa's Shield. 3,800 cost, which is quite cheap, 25 attack damage and 50 armor, and it grants the wearer immunity to all energy effects for 5 seconds when you activate Energy Flux. Really strong. I think it's probably going to get nerfed because it is quite strong. 2 other cards that I don't really hear people talking about too much, one of which is Mark of Valor. Now keep in mind this has a very short duration, but it's really good on initiators like Medusa's Shield is. Gives you 250 health, 5 health regen, and 50 armor, and its activatable Holy Aegis reduces physical damage received by 90% and decreases the duration of negative status effects by 50%, and it lasts for 3 seconds. So keep in mind, physical damage means physical basic attacks and any abilities that are marked as dealing physical damage. So it's not just basic attacks. reduces all that by 90%, and it will reduce slows by 50%, and stuns by 50%. Only lasts 3 seconds, but that's kind of all you need, especially on a tank that's running this and Medusa's shield. You jump in, you pop both of them, the enemy uses everything they have on you while your team deletes them and they have nothing left. Another card that I really like, especially on Nemo and Jules, is Deflector Plate. Costs 4,000, which is pretty decent. Gives you 30 attack damage and 60 armor, and its unique passive Reflect. 30% of damage dealt by melee units and 20% of damage dealt by ranged units are reflected back as true damage. So say if someone hits you with a 100 damage melee attack, then 30 damage will go back towards them as true damage, and it won't affect you. So like I said, with someone like Jules, that you can build super tanky, a lot of HP, a lot of armor, and just walk around proccing your abilities on people. The more they try to deal with you, the more you are going to just decimate their health bar. Honorable mentions in this section: Eternal Grace and Seal of Hades. They go together with Deflector Shield to make one of the strongest tank builds in the game. Eternal Grace will give you a ton of... God, I hate this website. Ton of health and health regen. Seal of Hades gives you health and energy and gets you some health back when things die. It's quite good. Honorable mention as well, Armor of Triumph for a tanky sort of supporty character. It has a defense aura which increases the armor of friendly units by 25, reduces the armor of enemy units by 25, and increases the attack speed of friendly units in a 900 radius. It's a really good card. Moving on to the energy stuff. Obviously, Chrono Switch, disgusting card. Probably needs a nerf. Gives you 60 energy damage, 400 energy, health and energy regen of 5. And it has the active called Reset, which resets the cooldowns of all of your abilities, which is just disgusting. I don't think I need to explain any more on why that card is good. Next up, you have Absolute Zero. If we can get it to actually pop up in the right spot, or even at all. Gives you energy damage, energy, and armor. And it has an activatable called Cryoblast. I'm sorry for the wheezing. Deal 200 damage to enemies in a 750 radius around the wearer and reduces movement speed by 40% for 4 seconds. It can be quite strong on an initiator. It also has a passive called Interstellar Winter. It reduces enemy attack speed by 20% in a 900 radius around the wearer. So it's really, really good, and it can go quite well with that tanky build where you sort of run Seal of Hades, Eternal Grace, Deflector Plate, maybe even this card here that's behind this that I can't show you, Armor of Triumph. Really, really good. I've seen a few people talking about this one, but not quite enough. It's a polymorph card called Reatomizer. It gives you 70 energy damage, 200 health, 500 energy, and 3.5 energy regeneration. And then you have the activatable Reshape, which turns a selected unit into a harmless sheep and slows it for 2.5 seconds. If you run this, I run this on support builds, so you can just polymorph them into a sheep, and they can't do anything. So if you use this on a character against a character like Nameless, when they jump in on your carry, you can just shut them down completely. It's a really, really good card, and I don't see it getting used enough. Honorable mentions, obviously, to Scepter of Zeus, Helm of Hades, really good cards. Another one that I love is Crimson Storm, especially on Jules. 70 energy damage, 350 health, 250 energy, and the passive auto freeze. Abilities reduce target movement speed by 30% for 2 seconds. So you can imagine that someone like Jules is just going to continuously proc this. It's a really, really good card. And the other one that I really like is Encapsulator. It's kind of like an ice block. It's quite cheap at 32.25, gives you energy damage, energy regen, and movement speed, and it allows you to become invulnerable for 2.5 seconds, but you cannot move during while this is going off for 2.5 seconds. But it's really, really good. Obviously, don't really need to talk about boots too much. They're pretty self-explanatory. Magenta boots, carry or fighter, quantum jumper, initiator, or carry. Atomic Stompers for supports or tanks, Artemis Boots, which is for the casters, and Turbo Boots, once again for sort of warriors, initiators, and carries. So, I know there's a couple there that you've probably heard of before that you know are a little bit OP, but keep in mind some of the ones that people aren't talking about, like Admiral's Pride in the attack, Deflector Plate and Mark of Valor in defense, and things like Reatomizer, obviously Chrono Switch in energy. So going forward over the next few days, going to have some videos coming out on warding, on where characters should be going in regards to lanes, some stuff on jungling, and then moving forward from there. I don't think I'm going to do just straight up build videos where it's just about the build. I think I'm just going to do full gameplays on characters and sort of mesh the hero guide and build guide into one thing, because I don't really want to make a video that's like 2 minutes long on a build guide. When builds, I think you're going to find over the next few weeks, they're going to become pretty static. Everyone's going to use a certain sort of build on certain characters, and that's going to be that. So we're going to sort of mesh them together and go that way. But I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, there's a bunch of buttons down below and shit. With that said, thanks so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.